Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. I don't have a tripod with me this morning, and so I use the steel post. It's a very cold morning out here. I just got through checking our Frostfree tank here that we installed here on this lease farm. It's just basically a valve running out of a hydrant that keeps water flowing, and had a lot of subscribers and just views on this video, and there's a lot of interest. I think people trying to figure out how to keep water from freezing in the wintertime an economical way, and I wanted to cover that a little bit. There was a lot of people that had some great ideas, and you know, I love the comments, so please don't stop the comments coming. But I just wanted to share some of it with you. One of the concerns people had was, you know, Greg, you're wasting a lot of water because it's a constant flow of water coming in the tank. It goes out a drain and it comes out here on the ground. And I'm a very conservative person. I hate waste. I just hate it. And so I immediately, when I hooked this thing up, I checked the water meter, and we did a check on it to see how much water we're actually using. And I actually measured the flow on the pipe over here coming out, and it was 1/4 of a pint per minute. Okay, so if you think about that, that's not a lot of water. And the flow, I calculated it out, and it was 48 gallons in 24 hours. So, you know, when you start thinking about that and you look at how people are wasting water with irrigation and, you know, growing alfalfa in the desert, and it's like, what are you all doing? Using millions of gallons of drinking water to grow alfalfa to ship to Saudi Arabia. I heard they got some of that shut down in Arizona. I don't know. I guess they got tired of being without water. It's a real issue out there. And so we can't, you know, I don't think you should be using drinking water to grow alfalfa, especially if you're going to ship it out of the country. That's stupid. But anyway, back to this water. I could have put in a frost-free tank here. I have some of those on some other farms, and they're expensive. I haven't put one in for a long time because I don't like them. It's a lot of money. And on a large herd, they don't work. And that's because there's not enough capacity there to keep your animals watered. Now, if you've got anywhere from, let's say, I don't know, 10 to 50 animals, and you bought one that could hold at least 10 to 20 gallons of water, they would probably do fine in the wintertime, as long as they're pressure fed. See, a lot of people made the mistake of putting them in below ponds, and I was that person. I put in 1, 2, 3. I put in 3 of them over at Doc's. I couldn't even use them the first winter. The cattle were fighting, and these are 10 gallons. They were being fed with an 1.5 inch pipe through the dam of a pond, and I had a lot of money in those tanks. I mean, I had $800 to $900, and they're just completely worthless. And so today, with this water system that we have here, this is a lease farm. On a lease farm, you can't go in and put in something permanent like that because you can't take it with you. And so this is something, I had a guy say, well, you know, what you're doing there is just like renting. You rent and you rent and rent. At the end of the rental lease, you walk away and you don't have nothing. Like, no, you can't compare that. I'm using 48 gallons of water a day to water my bull mob out here, and it saves me all this time. I don't have to go over here and fill the tank every day. It's being fed constantly. So the bulls are never without water. So my animal performance is just through the roof. You know, you don't want animals to be without water, not even in the wintertime, except sheep. Sheep won't drink water when it gets really cold, as long as they're grazing. But, you know, back to the leasing thing. Don't get paralyzed by paralysis of being scared of everything. You know, some of the subscribers yesterday, you just tell they were freaked out that I had water going out on the ground. Well, when you look at the flow over here, it's ridiculous. But some people won't move off of square one, and they go through their whole life. You know, just don't do that. They're scared of everything. You know, the government's doing this or that and this and that. It's like, Oh, what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about? Well, you know what? I can only control what I'm doing on this farm. So I'm going to do the very best that I can and move forward. And I've been doing that for, over 30, 35, 40 years. 40 years. And, we're still cranking. We're in business. We're doing fine. I had a guy come up to me, and he knew that we were running these farms and different things. He said, "You're not going to make a dang dime. There's no money in the cattle business." He said, "I was in it my whole life. I had to make a dang dime, and you won't either." And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. You're not going to... I have learned this. Don't argue with people. They're wanting you to argue with them. Don't argue with them. Just agree. Shake your head. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Well, you have a great day, and get in your truck and drive off. I mean, you can't change people that are negative. And I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to tell you all can do this. Stop hanging around with negative people. They want your company. You know why? They are uncomfortable with what you're doing, because you're actually doing something that works and they don't like it. One of the biggest negative comments that I get is when I do a video on big cattle. The advantages of running 1,000-pound cows versus 1,400 to 1,600-pound cows. It'll kill you. It'll absolutely kill you. It'll take you off your land. But the people that's got the big cows, boy, they come out of the scenes and they attack. And they don't like it one bit. They're not making any money, but they don't want you making any money either. They want your company. And so, I found out in this business, you've got to be willing to take a lot of criticism. You got to have a hard skin, and when people are attacking you and making fun of you, guess what? You're going the right direction. If everybody's agreeing with what you're doing, and you're just the nicest fellow in the community, and the bells are out and the whistles and everybody's tooting the horn, what a great job doing all that. No. You need to stop and look at what you're doing. Because unless you're doing things different than your neighbors, you're not going to make any money. Because most people in the cattle business today, I'm sorry, they love their cows, and it's a hobby. It's a darn hobby. And I've worked with people, I worked in town many years, and I worked with people that when they retired, their wives made them sell those cows. And that's because they did not have the off-farm income to supplement what I call welfare cows. Folks, you got to have cows that can eat your grass and stay fat and not have to feed all the supplement and expensive hay and all this stuff to that they say you need to feed them to get them through the winter. Okay? Are you calving in January, February? That's stupid. Why are you doing that? In Missouri, they call that spring calving. No, it's not. That's winter calving. So calve when the deer drop the fawns. That's number one. Number two, only keep the animals that stay fat and give you a calf every year on your farm, on your grass, without any outside, expensive purchased inputs like all these licks and all these different grain solutions. And we had a guy come to our grading school. It's been about 3 years ago. He didn't come up to me, but he came up to one of my interns. We'd just done a pasture walk. Went through the whole pasture, and all the mob was out grazing, brought all the people out into them. And this was May. Grass was green. The cattle were just absolutely pig fat. They had calves on them. And the guy sauntered up to my intern and goes, this is all BS. This is all BS. He said, "I know Greg's got some grain feeders around here. He's got some grain tubs, and he's got them hid, and I want to know where they're at." He said, "There's no way that you can get cattle this fat on grass. There's just no way. You can't do it." Because he said, "I've been in the cattle business my whole life, and you cannot do this." He's feeding them grain, and I know he is. And so I thought that was a great story. And the intern, he just kind of grinned at him. He didn't know what to say. And he said, well, he finally told him, I think Greg would blow his foot off first before he'd feed these cows an inch of grain. He's just not going to do it. But it's funny. You were not going to convince that guy any different. But anyway, I was going to tell you, we just introduced a new email list, and it's going to be linked on the bottom of our videos. And if you want to be kept up to date with our grazing schools, new listings of cattle for sale, sheep, guard dogs, conferences, working on my new book when it's going to be released and such, sign up for that newsletter and you will be notified when that happens. So it's going to be on the description section of my videos now. And just sign up if you want. If you don't. That's fine too. But anyway, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time. And I'm going to get over here and shut this video off on my wonderful stand of the fence post here.